Hey everybody, welcome to the PR podcast. Give you guys a better insight on how to master your bodies and raising your PRs in and out of the gym. My name is Joseph. I'm here with my two virtual amazing hosts, Anabel.
Hi.
And Morgan.
Hello.
And this is the first time we're doing this on Zoom virtually for obvious reasons. We are in quarantine at the moment. And who else is not wearing pants?
You're the only one.
Wow. I thought this is like the benefit of the Zoom meeting is you don't have to.
You're like, it's like a rule.
Yeah.
There's a mirror behind me, so what would be that slick?
Morgan's like, no comment.
No comment. I have pants on.
Well, you're in a studio. That's
I'm in the studio. So what's up, guys?
Accidentally, and he's not wearing any.
So we are officially going on to 4 weeks now of the quarantine, correct?
Isn't it 2 weeks?
It kind of, yeah. It depends. Like, I'm day 16.
I don't
It's
know.
horrible. It's horrible how long this has lasted. And we talked about this before the podcast. Anabel kind of warned us, a couple of weeks ago that this was going to get worse and this was going to be bigger than what everybody kind of anticipated it was going to be. And here we are, stuck in our homes with no gym.
No gym.
No gyms. All gyms are closed. All non-essential businesses are closed. It's a pretty weird world out there. If there's anything we could pull some benefits and positives out of this, I'm sure everybody's doing what they can to look on the bright side during these moments.
Yeah.
Have you guys been training at all?
Yeah.
I have. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm not going to ask for details, but I've been training as well. I got lucky. So the day before the gyms were shut down, Tiang's brother, he bought a squat rack. So I was able to train at his house. So I've been training there. So squat, bench, deadlift, that's all I need. So I'm content.
Yeah,
I do miss going to the gym though.
Oh, of course. It's a different vibe going to the gym and interacting with people at the same time and seeing people that are also working out, because sometimes whenever your workout is going kind of sucky, you can feed off other people's energies that are working out around you. Like if the guy next to you is lifting heavy and going crazy, if he's super zoned in, that'll motivate me sometimes to get zoned in and take my workout a little more serious. I do notice with the home workouts, I do have a little bit longer rest periods, and I do tend to kind of like wander around a little bit more, and the intensity can kind of fall off a little bit faster as I kind of hit that 20-30 minute mark a little bit earlier in the session.
That's interesting. I'm the opposite of you. So since I've been training alone now, my training time has almost cut down to half.
Okay.
I think it's because I always say, oh yeah, I like going to the gym and just train, but I do enjoy that social aspect of it because I do work mostly by myself. So I don't have to go anywhere and work. It's either from home or from in here. And usually when I go to the gym, it'll be that time for me to be socializing with friends and other people and just, all that stuff. So my workouts would be a little bit longer and it wouldn't be a rush because I would usually go to the gym once I'm done with all my work. So I could take as long as I want and just enjoy myself. Now it's a little bit different. I just go to the gym and I just sit there by myself. I'm not to the gym. I train by myself now. So I'm staring at a blank wall because it's in the garage and I'm just trying to get out of there quick before I go crazy.
What about you, Annie? How's your training been?
Yeah, it's kind of going. So I started 75 hard.
Could you bring that mic a little bit closer?
Could.
Like
Better?
Oh yeah, way
Yeah,
like
way better.
right by your mouth, please.
About a fist away from your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan.
Nothing's changed, huh? So, yeah, so I started 75 hard like the first day that we got ordered to work from home. So, in a sense, it's been kind of cool because it forces me to do the cardio that I need to do, but also I'm limited with the amount of equipment that we have at home. So, um, a couple days before, local like wholesale gym equipment store, Mike's Fitness Equipment, they uh, kind of were like promoting that they had like all this equipment stuff. So Tim went and picked up a couple bands and dumbbells, and then he's a PE teacher at a middle school, so he was able to go there and got permission to get a couple more dumbbells from there. I mean, they're not going to be using it, so we have enough. I mean, I've been looking at like a lot of the research that a lot of like fitness people are doing, and as long as you can load the muscle, like you can still like train it. And it's just using your levers. You have to get a little more creative. We don't have a bench, so I'm not doing like bench press, but we're doing floor presses or whatever we can. Um, it's frustrating though, because it's like it was still, even though like the gym's like, I don't know, like a 10-minute drive, like it's still like getting in that mindset, like picking your clothes, having pre-workout, driving there, like that whole part of the huge routine was like taken out. And like even driving back, yeah, like you said, just seeing other people, even though like I don't talk to anybody, but just like seeing what everyone else is doing. Like I love people watching. So and then of course like I haven't touched a barbell in like almost 3 weeks. So yeah, it's all right. It's stressful, but it's going. It's okay.
Yeah, building strength during this time for majority of people probably isn't going to be happening. Maintaining is definitely a lot easier during these times. I think that's what people need to kind of focus on. I know Lane Norton, he actually put a pretty good post talking about that as well, saying how maintaining your strength, maintaining your muscle is actually a lot easier than actually building strength. So that should be kind of people's focus right now if you are limited to weights and whatnot.
Yeah, that's 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 something that's been tough to deal with, just because I have strength athletes, and it kind of sucks for them because a lot of them don't have access to the gym. A lot of them, I was trying to buy a squat rack for my house, and everything's sold out. I've looked at different manufacturers like Rogue. I've looked at Canadian ones like Vulcan, Strong Arm Sport, um, all these different types of people that make squat racks and stuff like that, and everything's sold out. Besides that, if you're able to get a squat rack, you probably can't find plates anywhere. They're just
Yeah.
sold out everywhere. So for people that are really strength athletes, any type of sport is going to be kind of hard to get stronger, like you're saying. And even then, depending on your strength level, it's still going to be kind of hard to maintain. Like, we don't know how long this is going to go. So yeah, you can maintain for a while, but how long can you really maintain doing home workouts is going to be tough. As far as muscle mass, I feel like that would be a lot easier to just maintain. I've been hurt for a while in the past, like a month, and size was there, strength was came back pretty fast once I was able to train. But I think that's the tough part, because mentally, for the people who, like, you go to the gym and that's your thing, like you love feeling strong, like I think it's going to be just really tough to deal with.
Yeah. Like with
Yeah.
muscle mass, a lot has to do with like your diet too, right? Because as long as you can create a stimulus, however that's going to happen, you can still build mass because it's more contingent on like your protein intake, the calories you're taking in. So you can still kind of keep that, but I mean, with strength, like there's so many different stimulus, like a central nervous stimulus, like, yeah, a lot of equipment manufacturers are not set up to be able to provide, like, I'm sure the huge amount of orders that they got. And even if they were, like, assuming like, let's say this goes till June or so, like, a lot of the equipment comes from China, and there's not a lot of people that are gonna accept shipments from China or are gonna be able to transport stuff or materials, even if it's raw materials. Like, it's crazy. Like, a lot of systems were impacted.
Yeah, we all need to go through this kind of like adaptation phase and kind of almost accept the new during these times. If we, especially since we don't know how long this is going to last, just like you said, this could last till June, July, even later. Hopefully it doesn't. I don't, there's literally nobody that wants that, but we had to kind of anticipate and kind of prepare for the long term. And if things don't clear up as fast as we want, we have to learn to adapt. And I think that's a big thing during the situation is a lot of people, as soon as it's happened, instead of adapting, they just stopped when it came to kind of physical fitness. And that's not the best thing to do, obviously. But I know people deal with these matters in their own ways. But at the same time, like physical fitness is something that you need to keep up because that's good for your immune system. It's going to keep you healthy. It's going to keep you strong, and in the long run, you want to maintain good health.
Yeah, I'm curious, what has changed? Like as soon as this happened, is everything was closed down? Because obviously it came in phases. First, it was like some businesses, and then all of a sudden, it's just everything unless you're not essential.
Mhm.
So, have you guys had to change where you're working? Any lifestyle related stuff besides the gym that has changed that probably affected you guys? I'm curious.
My life, for the most part, is kind of the same. The business I do, my supplement shop, is still considered essential because we're packaged food, packaged goods, and we are health as well. So we are considered essential. So we do stay open. Um, it's interesting though to see what people are buying nowadays. Though instead of coming in and purchasing the pre-workouts, creatines, now they're getting the multivitamins and more protein and stuff. So there was a slight change in what people are purchasing during this time. So it's nice though, because whenever things do eventually go back to normal, they're gonna be a little more, um, knowledgeable when it comes to their health, and they're gonna continue to buy these things as well. Because it kind of came down to like, there's a lot of people that are in their 30s and 40s that didn't follow through with their New Year's resolutions, and whenever all this stuff started happening, it kind of put things into perspective. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people wish they would have gotten their health on track because whenever there's a disease going around that affects people who are unhealthy, a lot of people, they could have taken advantage of that, a long time ago, and they didn't. So I think this opened up a lot of eyes, a lot of people's eyes during this type of pandemic that's going on right now, that maybe I should start to take better care of my health.
By you, Annie?
Yeah. So we, like, at Cal State San Bernardino, since we're state like organization, they really were holding off on closing only because the students right now were so close to finals. Like literally the week we closed was finals week. So they wanted to do like everything they could to not disrupt that, because that could impact like the students' chances of, if they were graduating, for example, this year, like it can mess up their whole quarter. Or so they were keeping us open as long as they could. And then obviously student services, like a lot of the students that go to Cal States, they rely on their university, like for housing, for food, for even then, like with the resources they do have, like they're limited. Like we have a lot of students that sleep in their cars in the parking lot. So um, they pushed really hard to keep us open, but it was basically like the trickle down effect. Like we kind of have to like really adhere to what the state is saying because we're a state entity. So if we kind of go against that, it's really bad. But um, a lot of student services, like the quarter's going on now. we were just in winter quarter. That's when it closed, and spring quarter is now started. So classes are still going on. Our office doesn't deal directly with students, but we do work with students in providing scholarships. So we still have to be and open and like be able to process checks and stuff from donors. So I'm working from home. Like I have a laptop from Cal State where it has like all my files and everything loaded, but I actually, for our office, I go once every 2 weeks to the campus to grab the mail. And the main reason is just to make sure that there's no checks that need to be processed and put into students' accounts. So I'm looking for checks, and I'm looking for like correspondence from like a lot of big like foundations. So we had like a ton of foundations who like stepped up right away, and they donated like tons of Chromebooks and laptops for students who were going to be stuck working or finishing their school year from home. So just making sure we're processing those and getting those out to the students we need. So I'm basically still, it kind of helps me keep a routine because my work day was 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I'm working from home, but I still have to be accessible between those hours. I just get a little more freedom where, like, if I'm responding to an email or if I'm like, whatever, I can do a lot on my phone. So let's see, this meeting has been upgraded. Now includes unlimited minutes. Did you guys get that message?
Yeah. It says, here's a gift from Zoom. We have removed the 40-minute time limit on your next group meeting.
Yeah, Zoom. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's just one example of like all the stuff that's happening where like businesses and corporations are like stepping it up. Like, I don't know if you guys, who your cell phone service provider is, but a lot of like AT&T, for example, they donated for our university and like students, like little hotspots. So to the students just to have, to have during this time, they have to give it back. But and then AT&T, I think, was one of a few phone companies who lifted the cap on like their data limits. So everyone's kind of doing what they can. Also, it's like a PR move. Like it looks really good if like AT&T, Verizon, whatever, if like these big companies do it, like the smaller companies are going to have to also, answer back so they don't look like jerks. But anyway, so, I mean, working from home still helps keep a routine. I'm still like up and awake, but like, it's crazy. Like the days that I do go to campus, like the roads are a ghost town, like campus is a ghost town. You can kind of just feel like people, when you do see them, are just nervous. Like people just don't know what to expect. Like you see everyone's covered up. Yesterday, 2 days ago now, we kind of learned that mouth coverings in public are recommended just for people's safety, not necessarily masks. They said it can be any kind of cloth covering over your face because 2 reasons. One, there's a lot of people who have shown to be asymptomatic. So they had the virus. Maybe they didn't get the disease, COVID-19, but they had the virus and never showed symptoms. And then 2, there's a little bit of like research going into the fact that now they're thinking the virus is airborne or can survive like in the air for a little while. So basically they're saying like through breathing more than just coughing and like the stuff that comes up from your like respiratory tract, it can kind of survive or be aerosolized and like live in the atmosphere. They kind of were saying that at the beginning where like if, for example, if you're like in a dusty warehouse or, something where there's like a lot of particles in the air, someone sneezes or coughs and the spit or whatever latches onto that, then it's a little bit more dangerous than if you're like out in the open. And the studies aren't confirmed, but that's kind of what they're thinking. So I mean, it's a good precaution. It should have been a precaution like earlier on, but I know it was like a lot has to do with they're not trying to freak people out as much. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been noticing is that they're kind of been doing things like little by little, like, oh, don't panic, don't wear a mask. And now it's like, okay, you guys can wear masks now. It's kind of, and then, okay, 2 weeks quarantine. All right, 4 more weeks quarantine. They're kind of just like slowly doing this stuff. And this, I'm pretty sure it's for that reason to kind of like lower the chances of panic and so we don't
Yeah.
have rioting in the streets.
I mean, you could find toilet paper now, so that's good.
And
Yeah,
chicken.
we've got some.
And chicken.
I'm not even gonna lie. I was panicking for a bit. I was like, "Am I really gonna have to clean my butt with my hand and some water?"
Coffee
But
filters.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. K9.
I ain't got no. Oh yeah, you're right.
Dang.
Big ass package.
You're like, I'm good. Never mind.
Yeah, never mind. No, but yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. What's the craziest thing you guys have like seen or noticed? What shift like
So I, so to the extent now that I see tape everywhere on the ground when you do go out in public. I don't know if you guys have experienced this,
yeah.
but like at post offices, because I have to go, deliver packages and stuff. Um, they have tape every 6 feet. I think it's more than 6 feet actually, so people can line up. And people, I guess it depends on the person, but some people are very scared and nervous and kind of hostile, you could say, because for example, when I go drop off packages, because they are prepaid, I don't have to wait in line. I could just go straight to the front and drop them or to the drop box. But some people would get mad and they'd be like, "Hey, like there's a line." like like people are just
Yeah, for you.
like hyped, like not hyped, but very on edge. And
Yeah.
before that, they wouldn't do that. And then my mom actually had a story for me. She went to the store and I told her to stay home because I didn't want her. Older people are more. Well, that's what we thought. They could get us sick more than we could than we're younger. But I told her, just stay home. If you need anything, I'll go get it for you. But she wanted to get out the house, so one day she went to the store, and keep in mind she hadn't been out at all, so she didn't know there was tape on the floor. She was just minding her business, and she put her groceries on the table, and this gentleman behind her was like, "Hey, you need to move 6 feet away." She's like, "What?" He said, "You need to move 6 feet away. There's tape on the floor. You need to be 6 feet away from me." Mom was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "No, just please move back 6 feet away." So my mom was like, "Whoa," like just people are. I guess it's because they're worried about themselves, which is fine, but it's just little things like that that I've noticed. People are a little bit more on edge. Um, you could tell when you walk, they kind of look at you a little differently. Because I myself, I go out and walks in the morning. I need some type of fresh air, and I do notice people now. Like even I do. Like if I'm walking my dog, I'll just go to the other side. Or people I see now, people with masks. Even in families, I see people with their kids, and they're all wearing like a mask, whether it's by cloth or like actual masks. Um, it's just crazy because 2 weeks ago when all of this started and everything was shut down, I remember I told you guys I think I was gonna go for a hike. Well, not I guess that's not a real hike. I was gonna go to Mount Rubidoux, a little place to walk, and it was packed. There was people everywhere, people taking selfies in groups, and I was like, "Yo, this is not social distancing, and like you're defeating the purpose." So a bunch of weird stuff going on out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mount Rubio's closed now for that reason.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know anything
Yeah.
because as you guys know, I'm not on social media or anything right now, just because of everything that was going on. I just got over it,
Yeah.
so I really don't know anything that's going on except what I see on a daily basis.
Yeah, my shop is in Riverside, so I had a bunch of people come in and they're like, "Oh my gosh, they're closing Mount Rubio this Friday." This was probably like
Good.
like 2 weeks ago now, and it was for that reason because
Yeah.
it was getting so crowded that social distancing just couldn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I have a question. Do you guys okay? So when I went to Mount Rubidoux and I was gonna go on my walk, and I saw people in groups taking selfies, like groups. And I know they're not family because they all look different, different colors. So I was like, you guys are not family. It really kind of like irked me. I was like, man, you guys, I don't know if it's because they weren't taking it seriously, like they didn't know how serious the situation was, but I had to like really like calm myself and be like, you know what, just don't let it affect you. Just go on with your day. But it really bugs me when I see people not taking it serious. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
You know what? I can't even say I've been going out that much to really notice, to be honest. Like if I do go out, it's like I'll grab, coffee at Starbucks, but I'll be in the drive-through, Like I
Yeah.
actually haven't went nowhere really too public to really notice. Like all my workouts have been at my sister's house where she has like a little gym set up. That's what I've been
Mhm.
training at. And so I go in there, she has a treadmill and like a squat rack too, and like some dumbbells. So I actually haven't really been in the public too much. And then when I do work at my shop, we only allow about 5 people in at once, and even then, it doesn't really even get that crowded. And so I've only been around like small crowds, and I've been to, like Stater Brothers and Target, and even then, it's been like I usually go like later in the day, so it's been really empty.
Mhm.
But I think it will bother me though if I did see that.
Yeah, I see a lot of it just because right where I live, there's a park literally in the other side.
Mhm.
So sometimes I see, groups of people and kind of like, ugh.
Yeah. I
just
think people
spreading,
just
just
don't get it.
spreading the Rona.
That was it. Like people don't get it. They're like, oh, okay. Like for a lot of people, it was like a free pass to stay home, a vacation. Like, and you have to like consider there was parties scheduled, there's birthdays, there's like all kinds of stuff, right? That got canceled. So I think people were really trying to hold on to that. Like, for example, like the park where I walk to or like walk around, there's a playground. It's right next to a dog park too. So they closed the dog park because, I mean, nothing to do with pets, but all of the pets humans were there like mobbing to this dog park. The playground equipment was open for a long time. There was also benches and barbecues and stuff like at the park where they had to close it because people were still having parties and still, and like it's one thing to have like a little get together with the people that you're isolated with already in your family, because if one person has it, everybody has it. That's kind of the assumption. But like if you're bringing your tia, your cousins, the neighbors, like even that little bit of contact, like you can infect like families and families and families worth. So like even like people playing basketball, right? Like you're like, oh, okay, no contact, whatever. But like you're touching a ball, you're wiping your face, you're wiping your mouth, like you're passing the ball. Like so a lot of like in the Bay Area, I think they're taking off like basketball hoops, like so people can't play. I'm like like it sucks because a lot of like research like from Stanford is coming out and they're like these are really extreme measures, like we would never have needed this extreme orders, but because of the way that people responded, we kind of caused this, like because people were like taking social distancing as a joke, like okay, I don't have to work, or no more than groups of, at first it was more no more than what 250, like so a lot of conferences and big groups were still happening. Then there were like no more than 50 people, and they were like no more than 10 people, and then they closed bars and like a lot of restaurants. So like it was a trickle down effect because the numbers were not slowing down, right? Like, and they actually still aren't. So the United States peak is supposed to be like April 15th, April 16th, but that's the United States on average. California, our peak, like the worst it's going to be, is still a couple weeks after that. So our peak is April 26th. That's kind of what's predicted based on the trend, based on the data. And that's assuming people are still social distancing. in other states, it's much, much worse. Like states in California that have it really bad are New York, and they're kind of like able now to figure out, okay, who was patient zero or who was like what event or what happened. Like in New York, there was like a bougie like birthday party where they like had a lot of older people that were just coming to have their party, you know, despite being told not to, as a private property. It's like a huge house. And then everybody went home to their different areas in New York. And New York already, like everyone's kind of stacked on each other. Public transportation is like really popular. So you're coming into contact and crossing paths with people a lot. The second state was, or second area was Louisiana. And the reason they're saying that is because they still had Mardi Gras. Like they couldn't convince them enough to not get together and celebrate Mardi Gras, which is, I mean, right? Like that's like a tradition. It's New Orleans is like a huge thing, but it's like these parades of people, not only from the area itself, but coming from all over the state, like are getting hit. Like, you know, so Louisiana, like of all the states in the United States, had the fastest like case eruption. Like they didn't know where it came from, but people are like, no, y'all were throwing beads and celebrating, you know? So it's like, it's all this stuff that we're paying for like 2-3 weeks later.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that's happening today, we're going to pay for it in 2 weeks, you know, whether everybody like kind of does their part, like everyone's sacrificing in some way. And it's hard because you don't want to feel like you're sacrificing less when you see people are still having parties or still like getting together, making a joke like, oh, I'm 6 feet away from my compa, like smashing beers. Like, okay, like do that. You could do that.
Who did that, Andy? Who did that?
Everyone in the IE. No, just kidding.
Not kidding.
But it's, and like in the same token, like it's really hard because like you have moms and dads who like are nervous or scared for their like young, for their kids, for their older, like for their parents if they're not living with them. Like, so some people are really, really nervous and they have good reason to be, but other people like they're kind of saying like younger people. So the people that were in Florida who still had their spring break, like a huge percentage of them ended up getting sick with coronavirus. Like maybe they recovered, but a lot of their family members are not, you know, and it's sad, but it's like they're kind of to blame. Like if there is going to be like a blame game, like hello, like you were told, you were literally like warned, like asked not to travel, but you know, and the companies that took their money that let them fly, or the companies that were, you know, open for business selling drinks and, you know, the DJs and like whatever was happening there, like they're also kind of to blame, but they're also like looking out for themselves too. Like they needed to make money. So it's crazy. It's weird.
Yeah, just driving around Riverside, you'll see like some store fronts and they're boarding up their doors and windows because they're shutting down, like the little mom and pop places.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's super sad to see. I mean, like just going on social media, like I'll see these high level athletes and they're training, you know, at home with bands and 10-pound dumbbells, and there are these athletes that I know are phenomenal because I've trained or I've worked out with them and trained with them, and it hurts me to not be able to see them train the way they want. You know, like you see them being creative and forcing these workouts, but at the same time, you know, it's not going to be enough. And just from like a competition standpoint, it's tough as a competitor because my cut is supposed to start in June for my shows this year, and if this stuff is still going on, it's like I don't want to put my body through a cut that's for a show that's probably not going to happen. And I know that's a thing that's on almost every competitor's mind, even yours, Morgan. If you had a competition coming up, like what would you do?
October, right?
Yeah. I would
Yeah, so like
I would still peak. Just test for my own.
yeah, I guess it's different because you don't have to like really cut that much. Like obviously like me have to drop a bunch of body fat to get down. So I guess like for powerlifters, as long as you have a good training platform, it doesn't really like hit you so hard like physically. But I think for bodybuilders, since we have to go through such a deep cut and be at such a deep deficit, like that puts crazy strain and stress on the body, especially our hormones as well, being natural athletes. And if this stuff is still going on in June, um, I'm not even sure if it's even worth going through a cut for a show that might not happen. And I don't want to put my body through that stress if nothing's going to come about it.
I think that's really smart because I saw a lot of organizations, like some were canceling shows up front, some were just
Yeah.
postponing them. But like it's really well known that like athletes like or stage athletes put their bodies through a lot. Like a lot of people end up getting sick, right? Like
Yeah.
especially and just because being in a severe calorie deficit and then training like on top of that, that's two different types of stressors on your body that like normally that's not something everybody would do, but like when you put a calorie deficit and then extreme training, sometimes cardio, and then like the stress, like just the stress that comes with like a deadline and being on stage, like that's your body can't differentiate like, okay, it's cool, like once we do this show we're going to be fine, we'll refeed, it's fine. Like your body can't tell that.
Mm-hmm.
So like people end up getting sick, and the last thing you want to do is like compromise your immune system right now. Most people are going to be fine and they'll recover, but even the young people who have recovered have come back and said like it's the worst flu they've had of their lives. And like a lot of the like repercussions from that is like there's like permanent damage. Like people are having like people's lungs, like they're finding scar tissue. Like your body's able to heal and recover, but you may not come back like 100%, right? So it's kind of like that risk versus reward. A lot of shows, like as we're getting like further out, like are canceling or postponing. And I think that's smart because you don't want to have a show without like athletes. And especially like if you're taking away like a chunk of the athletes who care about their health, who care about that, and like only letting people only the people that are competing are the ones that are like, oh, whatever, like we'll do whatever we can. Like it's not like a great representation of like the talent that's out there, like right, like the bodybuilders and bikini athletes and everything that's out there. So
Yeah, the quality.
yeah, it's hard for like organizations like that, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of people ask me too, like what my thoughts about it when it comes to competition, and it sucks because I had two athletes that were supposed to compete in May, and their shows got canceled, and they were on prep since January. And that's heartbreaking to be on prep for such a long time and go through this cut. That they had family and friends are going to come up to the shows, and these shows get canceled, and it's like, well, do we keep you like in a maintenance phase, 6 to 8 weeks out? Do we just keep you like that until we find a show that does get canceled? Or do we just put you back on normal calories and get you back to normal health? It's like, it's super risky to keep an athlete at such a deficit for such a long time, in hopes that there is going to be a show that won't get canceled. And for my personal opinion, I think every single bodybuilding organization should just cancel all their shows for the year. Just do it now. The sooner they do it, the better, because they'll get every single athlete back to normal health, and it'll allow every single athlete to go back into a muscle building phase. And next year's competitions will be insane. They'll be so much better because everybody's going to have a quality year off of no stress, better sleep, not being in a caloric deficit. And next year's competitions will be a lot better because everybody's going to look completely different.
Yeah. I think for the athletes, that's probably like the best thing because
no, it absolutely is.
even if we are peaking, say like based on the data, right? Like in April, and like it kind of tapers down, and we're clear for the most part in June, July. Let's say June, like just optimistically. And that only means that the hospitals are going to be able to care for the people that are coming in. That doesn't mean it's going to go away 100%, because we won't have any kind of way to have like an immune build, like a vaccine, right? Or anything to like build our immune system against this coronavirus. But there's a lot of speculation too now that it thrives in the winter months or in the colder months. So they have no idea if we're going to get another wave like next winter, or, once temperatures start cooling. Hopefully not, but it's just like there's no way to know till we get there, right? It's just too soon. You can't predict the future. There's so much unknown.
Yeah, it's too big of a risk for any athlete, and it's a huge risk for any organization as well. And I mean, we see with professional sports too, like the NBA, MLB, and stuff. Like a lot of things are getting canceled. And the thing is, like, if even if there are shows at the end of the year, you're gonna have 40, 50 athletes, competitors in one category, because now we have to cram shows that were supposed to be in 12 months down to 4 months. And so we're going to have double, triple the amount of athletes in every single show, and it's just going to be chaotic.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's sucky overall for every single sport out there, but it's the best for all athletes if they just cancel all shows now and just let that stress not be on any athlete's mind.
And like probably in our mind, that's an easy decision. But then from the business perspective, like that's an entire year's worth of revenue that all these companies are losing out on, which is like, okay, yeah, we don't want to like negate that too much, because that's what's supporting their families, like all the people who are part of the organization and, putting these shows together, like everything, every business, like
Mm-hmm.
like it's harming them just as much, if not, like if that's what they're relying on for their income, or to pay their employees, or to pay, whatever.
It's pretty crazy, right? That we're basically, so besides the sport aspect, it's crazy how we would take all these things for granted, like being able to just go to the store and find groceries whenever you wanted, or food,
Go to the
being able
mall.
to go to the gym, being able to say, you know what, I'm gonna make my hobby and go compete as a bodybuilder, or I'm gonna go do some powerlifting, or
Mm-hmm.
all these different things that you really don't think about before till now.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know, I think it's just pretty crazy. Like it changes your perspective on life, or at least it has for me. Like it really kind of makes me see things a little more clearly and see what's really valuable and what's not. Because before I was always very conscious of, okay, the like things that I would always be grateful for, but little things like that, like going to the store, being able to put gas in my car and not worry about. I mean, it's always dirty, but now it's even more like, oh, if I grab the thing to put gas in my car, I'm going to get coronavirus.
Yeah.
Little things like that you really don't think about. Annie, you said it could be airborne. Now, when you go walking and someone's next to you, and like, oh shit, like I can't go out and get some fresh air anymore because hey, I might get sick. Little things like that. It's just pretty crazy to me.
Yeah. Do you guys want to talk about like how everyone's kind of headspace has been for the last 2 weeks? Like I know it's kind of interesting because all three of us kind of have a different situation, like as far as like work and like how like our routines have changed. But how did you guys feel like initially? What kind of toll did it take, and then what have you done to kind of make it better?
I'll start because mine was pretty interesting. Because like I said, my work is usually here or from home. Um, so for those who don't know, like my family, we own a trucking company, so that's still the logistics side of it is still running and it's clear. But I don't really have to do much for that because it runs by itself now. It's been stable for a couple of years now, so not much to do there. Now the other thing is for like canine or stuff. I would do all that work from in here. For athletes, same thing. Like I would enjoy going to the gym and do that one-on-one interaction with people, kind of help them with their technique, or I would look forward to days when they would send me their videos of their training and kind of help them get better. But because of the whole situation, they're not, most of them aren't able to go to the gym and actually train for powerlifting. So that kind of took a toll on me. I kind of felt bad for them. Like I felt that like, man, it sucks. And then other things as well, like the only things that I would do to socialize was go to the gym, talk to people there, have that interaction with people. And sometimes I would like to go to coffee shops or just a different place and people watch to get kind of like some inspiration to do my work, to think, because being stuck in a room by yourself is not, it's not the business. Like you you don't realize how much you need that human interaction, right? It's a big part of life. And now that it's gone, I was like, man, I didn't, like I've always been a person that's like, I really I really don't like a lot of people because they just really rub me the wrong way. Like I try to avoid people. But with the small amount of people I do interact with, I didn't realize how much that helped me stay healthy mentally and just feel good. So that was a big toll on me. So for like the first, I'd say the first 3, 4 days, I was okay. And then after that, I felt, honestly, I felt a little depressed because it kind of threw me off my routine. I would wake up still the same. My morning routine still the same. Wake up, read a book, go on a walk, get work done. Once I was done with my work, go to the gym, and then from the gym I'll go do some more work, either at a coffee shop or something. But now my day ends at home, and that's it. I can't go to the gym and talk to people. I can't go to a coffee shop and people watch or anything like that. So it kind of put me on a small depression, I guess you could say. But quickly I was able to adapt and kind of use that extra time that I had throughout my day to do things that would benefit me. So instead of just staying still and not doing anything, like watching Netflix, binging Netflix, or being on social media, which is why I deleted it, because I would find myself just scrolling like, but it was, everybody was doing the same thing, home, complaining about coronavirus, complaining about this. It was just so toxic, at least for me. So I was like, you know what, I don't want to see this anymore. So I deleted my social media, except for Twitter. I made a Twitter. Twitter's pretty cool. Um, and then, but even that, I don't get on it because Twitter has trending, so you can see like what's happening. So I don't really check that. So I would just find myself reading a lot more books. I've actually finished 2 books in like a week, which is fucking nuts for me at least. I've been journaling more than usual. So I've been documenting this. Like I really want to be able to see this. Hopefully, a year from now, things are a lot better, or 10 years down the line, and look back at this and just kind of see what my thought was like, what my thought process was like. And looking even a couple of days ago, you could see like my mind was not right. Like what I wrote in there was not the happiest stuff. As opposed to now, like I go at the end of the day and look at what I wrote in the morning and the day before and be like, okay, I'm much better now. So being able to get those thoughts out and put them down has helped a lot as well. So I guess for the most part, just I've been, it took me a little while to adapt to that extra time I had in my hands where I would use to socialize with people, and is use that energy into putting in something that's going to benefit me hopefully in the future.
Nice.
Yeah. I think for me, it wasn't too crazy of a hit because I still work, and going to work kind of keeps things kind of in line, keeps things, as normal as possible. So I'm still interacting with people on day-to-day basis, and I always ask people about their day. I feel like that's always nice. And so um, I think just being able to still go to work and still have a place to train, those are like the two main things. And obviously with everything slowing down, we did slow down our hours at work. So I am home a little bit sooner, which I don't mind though, because I have my little man who's about to be a year old in less than 2 weeks. And so, you know, I get to spend more family time at home. So it's actually pretty nice.
Nice.
So overall, I think over here from my side, it wasn't too bad. And it was from the benefit still having a job, thankfully.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was kind of like really sucked in, like from the beginning. I was going through my phone, just like older pictures, like cleaning out, like one of the things I've been cleaning out my phone, like old screenshots and pictures. But like I kind of have been tracking this since like January, February. Like I was finding screenshots of like articles and stuff that was coming, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, a lot has to do because like my degree's in public health. So I got a little bit of epidemiology and like kind of we've seen through history how stuff like this has happened. I never would have imagined like in our lifetime we would have been this impacted by it. But so I noticed I was really, really sucked into like a lot of the research, like a lot of the data, and I was getting like really upset like about a lot of the impulsive reactions that people were having that seemed to me like it was more like clickbait, like let me post and share this because it's really controversial and it's scary, like a lot of fear mongering, a lot of misinformation that was, I think what upset me most was like this is going to cause way more harm than good, like it's not going to be beneficial to anybody, and it's like frustrating, but it's like okay, at the same time I have to understand like people are responding out of fear and people are responding like out of uncertainty, myself included. Like I didn't know like exactly what this was going to come to, but I had an idea. um it helped a lot that I was still working and still like 75 hard has helped a lot too. Just like I have a lot in my day to keep my schedule. The clients that we have also, I mean, right away we had to switch their meal plans and their like workouts to like accommodate the equipment that they even had access to. Virtually like help them shop. Like, okay, like Target says that they have these bands, Walmart has this, like grab a pair of dumbbells. Like we're having people show us like what do you have access to, what is in your garage, what is in your backyard, like so that they didn't like, so they didn't have to miss a step if they didn't want to. And it's hard because like as introverted as I feel like I am, like I do like social connection, like I do like talking with people, like um even just being around people, like not necessarily like I don't always have to be talking, but um just missing that, like that was rough, like especially like with 75 hard, I remember last summer, like I would be walking and just like, hey, good morning, like, just make eye contact and smile, whatever. Like at anybody in Loma Linda, like tons of people are walking or cycling or like, all the time. And like this time it's different. Like people, like you said, like will cross the street or, kind of avoid eye contact. So, and I understand that, but like as much as I can now, like even if it is like from a distance or across the way, like I'll do like one of these or like a little wave or just eye contact and smile, just because like it's the most amount of human connection we're gonna get lately. Like, and it's like I said this in the first episode, like I'm a hugger. Like I like hugs and like snuggles, whatever, like with my family and stuff. So I'm not getting like we're not getting any of that, and it's weird. Um, but like at the same time, like I'm also really hopeful that this is gonna like pass pretty fast. I'm thinking like fast in terms of like if we're still keeping with like what we're recommended, and these recommendations are not coming out of nowhere. It's coming like we have a lot of data from like China, like from Eastern countries and European countries. We have a lot of information. Like yes, like you can argue we should have been, like the US should have been better prepared, but like you also, like we love our freedom. Like we don't want to be told what to do. It's hard, right? So, but what's exciting is like you want to be optimistic. Like I don't know if either of you have known anybody who has gotten the virus or gotten and recovered. I have a family member who so she's my aunt, and it's her parents who like tested positive, and they're older, and of course she's nervous and everything, but it's like you want to try to be as optimistic as you can, like, and like if everybody kind of, I think that's the hard part because so many people are not affected by it, like they haven't had any family members. I mean, there's even conspiracy theorists who are like, nobody has died from this, like everybody who's died like has died from something different, or they're like, does anybody even really know, like they themselves, somebody who's been affected, like this is a lie. Like there's going to be that group of people always, but like I think once it does hit, and thankfully it hit us pretty late, like we didn't even get our first case till like the week we recorded, like right that the week of March 16th or something, that like 2-3 weeks ago was the first case in San Bernardino County in Fontana. And like now it went from one case to like we're close to 400, I think, which still isn't a lot when you compare it to like Louisiana, like all the other areas, but it's just weird. Like you mentioned, like one of the benefits I think is that you kind of get to reevaluate. You do get like a lot more downtime than maybe you're used to, because I also was like, I liked going grocery shopping. I liked going to coffee shops. I liked just people watching, just being amongst people, like Target. Oh my gosh, TJ Maxx, Home Goods. Like I miss it. But like having that like routine, like you get to put other stuff that you haven't had time for like before to kind of do that, like being a lot more, thankfully with my certification, like a health education certification, there's a lot of webinars. So I have to complete 75 CEUs, that's continuing education units, in 5 years. So that's about 15 units a year. This whole pandemic has sprung up so many opportunities for me to complete, like, so I'm attending webinar after webinar after webinar, like just hearing from doctors, hearing from public health professionals, like where I'm getting those units like taken care of. And it's like nice because it's really relevant right now. And it's showing a lot how this one little pandemic is affecting all parts of our health. Like one of the things I was the most passionate about was like food insecurity, especially for kids. And I'm so happy to see like there's so many like restaurants and organizations that have like come together and pulled resources to make sure kids aren't going hungry.
Yeah, I see the schools,
Yeah,
they're giving out food. There's like lines of cars just picking up food. I think it's pretty cool.
yeah, I mean that's really nice about like the sense of community that people are building, because like we kind of take it for granted, like we're fine at home, like we have like a safe space with people we care about, but like a lot of kids don't have, like, a lot of kids, like the most amount of love they get in a day is at school, like their teachers and counselors, and it's like unfortunate, but it's the reality. Like same thing, like so trends that we're going to notice after this is over is a lot of domestic violence cases, a lot of child abuse cases, and I mean a lot of depression and anxiety. Like so there's already organizations and like counselors that are learning teletherapy, like they're able to provide services like this over Zoom or Skype or however they can. But like that crucial like social component that people need, like connection, like they're going to be missing that. So it's really scary. It's going to be interesting to see, but like just like so much to think about. Like, but I mean, it's kept me busy. It's I do have to make time, like for sure, like to limit the amount of information that I'm getting from non-credible sources. Cause like I said, it like bugs me when people are like, oh, try this, I tried this, and this works for me. And like, and it's like, if it works for you, that's great. Same thing with diets, right? Like it's amazing, but just because it worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone else. And you might not be feeling like you're causing harm, but you're giving a lot of people like false sense of security. So, it can be more harmful than you even realize. So, um, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I feel like I kind of give people in the beginning like a break, because nobody, like you said, nobody knew how serious this was going to get. At the beginning, even myself, like I went to freaking Ohio for a competition when this was barely getting started. Like,
Mhm.
in a way, I guess I was lucky that I was able to compete before everything shut down completely. But at the same time, now looking back at it, I kind of felt a little irresponsible, like going out there, like because I even after that, I went to the gym, and like I said, I don't really look at online sources or anything. So most of my stuff is I get it from Annie. Like I know she's a trustful source, so whatever Anabel says, I usually cool. I take it. Um, so I didn't really know how serious this was. And then when I actually started looking into it, I was like, man, I was kind of irresponsible. I went over there and I came back, and then I thought it was fine because I wasn't sick, so I'm not showing any symptoms, so it was all good. I'm not sick or whatever, but I would still go to the gym. And I remember joking around. Someone made a comment like, "Hey, Morgan, you shouldn't be here. You were in Ohio, and over there the cases were getting pretty high. It was pretty serious." And everybody was flying from different parts of the world. So okay, yeah, if you're gonna get it, it's probably gonna be there. So then I actually, before they shut down the gyms, I actually stopped going to my gym, because when I heard that comment, I kind of took a step back and I thought about it. I was like, I know it was a joke, but I think they're right. Like I probably shouldn't be going there until at least, I think it was like 14, 21 days. They said if you don't have anything, you're probably in the clear. And it wasn't no 17. I was back in the gym like 3 days after from when I came back from the Arnold.
Patient zero, man.
Yeah, so and I was still like avoiding, because they had stuff there to clean and all that, but still, like, best way to be safe is to just avoid going to those places and probably get people there sick. So after that day, I never went back to the gym, but I mean, 2, 3 days after, they ended up shutting it down anyway. But yeah, it just kind of puts things into perspective how quickly, at least it feels like it was quick, like things got out of control. And now, just now I'm home with Tiang building freaking puzzles, so it's
Messaged me the other day. She's like, how long do you think this is gonna last? And I was like, oh, this is kind of the prediction. She's like, fuck, I'm gonna have to get more puzzles.
yeah, it's crazy building puzzles. Well, she's building puzzles. I'm not building. I'm just there for
Cheering
moral
her
support, But yeah, I think it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's crazy times, and we'll get through it.
on.
We'll
Yeah.
get through it.
Yeah.
We
Well,
should
it
do
was
this
good.
again, guys.
Yeah, it was good seeing you guys. It's obviously been a long time. I haven't seen you guys since the last time I seen you guys.
True. So true.
That was so responsible too, because we were in here. This is not no 6 feet.
I
That's,
know.
dude, I was like, if Morgan has it, we have it. Like, we get this
Right?
together. Like, why can't we go back to simpler times where we're eating 30 burgers a day? Not 30 burgers a day, 30 burgers for 30 days. I take
Yeah.
that for granted. But we'll be all
Seriously.
right. Yeah, like I mean, and I think that's the thing, like people just feel like alone and isolated, but there's a lot you can still do. So I'm trying to like share little bits like as I'm finding like information and ideas, like there's a lot you can still do that can keep you sane and keep you like a lot of people, and it's kind of neat, like so like birthday parties for example, like if you can organize it in a way, like a lot of families are doing birthday parades, like where their friends will make like little signs and posters, and their parents will drive them down their friend's street, and like they'll have like a little parade for the birthday kid, or like going for drives, like that's still okay. Like I know, like I used to do that, like in grad school, like just grab myself a coffee, grab myself like a snack, and go for a drive. Like no destination required, like unless you have like a spot. There's lots of turnouts you can go to. Like just getting outside of your house can help a lot. Like obviously you can still be physically active, you should still, if you feel up for it, exercise, you should still move your body, understand it's not going to be the same capacity, and understand like your body might change because your entire routine has changed, like so people just have to be like a little aware and okay with that. um Meditation like is really important, like taking a break to breathe, like this is, even though like we might not feel like stressed out, like if you're getting mugged or robbed, right, like it's not that kind of stress, but it's a chronic low grade constant stress that most people are experiencing, and that can have a big toll on your health long term. So doing stuff now like meditation, like limiting screen time, keeping a routine, like keeping a sleep schedule, like sleep is really important right now, and like you see tons of people up like watching Netflix like in the
Tiger
middle of the
King.
night. Yeah, we tried. I don't know if I could
That's
do it.
not.
It was weird.
It's not for me.
I watched it.
Of course you did.
She killed her husband, I'm telling you.
Oh my God. So, is it still okay to go out on walks, or is that prohibited now?
So it's still okay because as long as, and the first and foremost thing is like keeping social distancing. So like that's the reason they closed down Mount Rubidoux and are closing down a lot of regional and county parks, is they don't want to encourage people to all get together at the same time. Like so going during non-peak hours is probably really, so if you're an early bird, like it's probably pretty good to go out and get your fresh air. I mean, in a couple days, I don't know if you guys are ready or not, but we're going to get like a couple days of rain. So like going out for walks, like grab an umbrella or a poncho, like that's going to be a pretty good time because there's not going to be a whole lot of people out. Just
Morgan
be safe,
Goggins.
Yeah. Um, and like so getting outdoors is like really important, like getting out into nature, like avoiding like populated places. So if you have like a favorite park or favorite trails or something to go to, just make sure you are able to avoid people, like if the trail's wide enough. That was the thing with Mount Rubidoux, it's paved, so you have people in strollers and wagons, and like it's so perfect for people with families and stuff, not during a pandemic. But now it's kind of like it defeats the purpose of keeping people away. The concern with the virus being aerosolized, like I said, there's like early reports, but it's not confirmed. But they want to make sure people know that there's a chance, right? So you're still being cautious. Like the best way I think to approach it is like assume the worst, but hope for the best, right? Like assume everybody has the virus, assume like you can't touch it, assume the worst always, but always like hope for the best. Like, there could be a chance that nobody in your area has it, or nobody, in the area that your family and like loved ones like has it, but they should act and you should act like everyone does. just to be safe. Yeah. I mean, exercise, eating like a healthy diet, really diverse. Like, also Lane had a really good video about like immunity and a diet, and like he said, nothing can shift right away. Like you can't all of a sudden start eating like broccoli and spinach and like oranges and like think that's gonna do some, miraculous thing like for your immune system. Not immediately, but a couple weeks down the road, because who knows how long this is gonna be. Like now's the time, like if you have the energy and time to shift that, like shift your diet, like then do it. Like make sure you're hydrating, make sure you're getting electrolytes. Like you still want to do all the things that are going to keep your body healthy, but like you still have to understand, like even the healthiest person isn't immune from a virus. Like a virus doesn't care. The way that you respond and the way that like your body is able to combat the virus, that's going to depend on your health level. And like I said, if you have pre-existing conditions or immune compromised, if your immune system is compromised already. But there's a lot of stuff you can do to still like support your immune system. And exercise, getting vitamin D, like getting lots of nutrients. Stop it.
A lot of Corona babies.
Right. I think one of my favorite memes was like, I can't, like, y'all understand, like my budget is cut right now. Like I can't afford to go to like 30 baby showers in December. Y'all need to find a hobby. like something else to do. Like we can't all go to baby showers. But anyway.
Yeah.
When's Grayson's birthday?
The 19th.
19th.
Mm-hmm.
Of this month?
Of this month.
Oh man.
It's coming up. 1 year already.
Sweet.
1-year-old, already large and in charge.
That kid's huge.
Tell him thank you for letting you hop on this call. You know, we all know he is the boss.
He's the boss. 100%.
All right, guys. So I think, is this going to be a go for the following weeks? You guys going to be able to hop on here?
Yeah, I'm with it.
We could probably do some things to make the audio a little bit better, but it is what it is.
Hey, tough times.
Yeah.
This is fun. We can improvise. We'll do what we can.
You need some headphones, Annie.
Can you drop mine off at my mailbox? Leave it on the doorstep, throw it, and
yes,
then run.
I can. I can actually go do that right now, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys be safe. Be healthy.
Yeah. And for everybody who's listening, thank you guys for tuning in for our very first virtual PR podcast. Be sure to keep tuning in for these future episodes. They are probably going to be over on Zoom until further notice, until we all get back together again. Yeah, but thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure if you guys are listening on iTunes, you give us a 5-star rating, and be sure to share this podcast with your family and friends all over social media. And make sure to continue to follow us on Instagram. The podcast is pr.podcast. Anabel's Instagram is evolve.anabel. Morgan's is morgan.aquino. And mine is fit_fluential. Appreciate you guys for tuning in.
We're a little rusty here, huh?
A little rusty, I know. So appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Peace.
See ya.